I don't know if you all have picked up on this, but Fortnite has been getting a lot more mature lately. And quite frankly, I think it's about time. I've been playing since Chapter 1, Season 1. This is something that is very refreshing for me, because I feel like Fortnite is kind of getting back to its roots. Like it's getting back to where it's supposed to be. Fortnite is actually made for adults. That's what I've been thinking for quite a few years now. The foundations of this game, the fundamentals and culture, the culture that was set, the precedent that was established in the early years of Fortnite was created by grown-ass people. And then somewhere in Chapter 2 it kind of flipped, and there's a few differences for that, right? Like, one, the content kind of changed. Everybody started doing the fashion shows and the gimmicky kind of content, and they had to, right? That came out of necessity because there wasn't much content to be made. There was nothing that was being added to the game for almost 4 months. But also that's when Fortnite started to focus on collabs more. Now, we've always had mature IPs. And quite frankly, I think one of the greatest signs that Fortnite's had an adult audience is by the types of IPs that we've been given over the years. Like, we've had stuff like Terminator, Alien, Predator, Rick and Morty, Family Guy. Like, those are IPs that although kids might know what they are and sometimes even watch them, that's not the target demographic. Children are not the demographic for something like Rick and Morty. But when I'm looking at Chapter 7 and the overall presentation of the game, it feels like this big refresh, this big rebrand for Fortnite that's going on right now for them to age up their game and age up their audience. We all know that Fortnite's trying to recapture a lot of the old audience. That's why there's a big emphasis on the storyline. That's why they're doing stuff with OG. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's been done to bring the old audience back. And even if you were someone, let's say that you were 12 years old when Fortnite first came out, you'd now be 20 years old. So to get back those older players, even off the sense of nostalgia, is them trying to cater to an older audience. But then I think that how Chapter 7 was rolled out, how everything was marketed, how people were getting excited about this new upcoming season, this new upcoming chapter of Fortnite, there were so many mature IPs and concepts that were just thrown out there for people to get a hold of. For example, the big premiere they had out in California with a lot of content creators and celebrities showing up. It's a scene that Quentin Tarantino originally had for Kill Bill, which first of all, if you know anything about Kill Bill, that movie is not family friendly. Now, I personally never watched it, but I want to get around to watching it. But I've seen clips and heard of it. Kill Bill is not for kids. And also, Quentin Tarantino, his reputation in Hollywood and types of movies that he produces are beyond family friendly. Nick A30 would never watch a Quentin Tarantino film, at least openly admitting to watching one. If you've seen anything like Django Unchained or Hate for 8, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And listen, I love me a good Quentin Tarantino film. He's made some fantastic content, but I never would have thought that he would have collaborated with Fortnite. Now, I just watched Yugi's Revenge for the first time, and like I said, I have no context to Kill Bill or the plot of that movie. But I will say, after seeing this little mini movie, I am actually shocked that Epic went that far with something. Not just in terms of producing something that Quentin Tarantino made, but also just how edgy that was. How not necessarily dark it got towards the end, but just the amount of cursing that we saw in that production. I think there's something to be said, not only for how mature that project was, but also the future of Fortnite and what it could mean for other projects. Like other movie directors that have had projects that they have not been able to release before, it opens up the door for so many other directors and so many other more mature projects to come to Fortnite. Just based upon this one alone, like, this is kind of the prototype for something I think could potentially be bigger, but that deserves a video all in of itself. Point I'm trying to get out of here is Fortnite is really playing with their expectations. Like, the things that we experience from this game and the stigma that's been surrounding it for the last few years, I do really think that they're trying to abolish it. Like, think they've noticed a change in how people have perceived their game, and they're trying to transform that. And that's the thing, man. Like, looking at the collabs we get inside of Fortnite is one of the best ways to tell how mature the game is trying to get, but it's just the execution of them and the way that they're being done right now is a clear sign that Epic is trying to make such a big effort into making Fortnite feel like a more mature IP. Another sign of this was them adding Kim Kardashian into Fortnite. Now, let me make this clear. I'm not here to talk about Kim Kardashian's past or the type of person that she was. However, the person that she's evolved into is definitely a far cry from the woman that people were first introduced to years ago. And everyone was talking about her for those reasons. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and red pill you and try to shame somebody about their past and the things they've done, right? It's Hollywood. Everybody in that space has been into some wild shit at one point in time. But the point is, in spite of Kim Kardashian's past, the fact that they gave her an icon skin, and even just like the way it's presented, it's definitely leaning on more mature themes. Heck, even the themes of this chapter feel more mature when it comes to some of the storytelling. One of the funniest things I saw had to do with Fortnite's bus driver getting blown up. Like, we all saw that at the beginning of the chapter in a little short. But a couple of weeks later, there was actually a tweet on the official Fortnite Twitter page where there was the bus driver texting somebody and he said, "I lived, bitch." Like, that's wild. And once again, it kind of goes back to that Yuki's Revenge thing, how they're not afraid to experiment with a little bit more spicy language. And honestly, that has me wondering, like, how far is Epic going to take this year? Like, when it comes to the Fortnite storyline, is there going to be like more mature themes represented through all out of the chapter 7? And I think there's a good chance that there might be. Honestly, Fortnite has the potential to tell one of their darkest stories ever by bringing back the 7. And that's the thing, I don't think it's a mistake that we're getting the 7 back during this time when Fortnite is going more mature. I think it's a strategic move, and here's the thing, adults love a good story. That's not exclusive to kids, right? But if we're going back to really good storytelling there, that's going to keep the older fan base more invested as well. I'm not saying that your average 20-something-year-old is going to become a Fortnite theorist. However, I do think that older people looking to engage with Fortnite in a meaningful way, and one of the best ways you can do that is by telling a solid story. And the story is easy to follow this chapter, and they're also throwing in good like little hints and teasers and these little Easter eggs on Twitter like they have been. They're kind of going back to that Donald Mustard era of storytelling, where there's like little tiny bits of context given over tweets. Kind of like I said with the bus driver thing, right? Like, that was something that was neat that they did. It was a goofy thing, but still, it in some ways kind of has lore significance. The point is they're making a more solid effort to tell a more cohesive story through multiple mediums, and what makes the synergy between the different storytelling aspects so much more profound. Anyway, that's it for the video. Hope all of you have a great day. Anyway, take care. Talk soon. Goodbye.